Well, we're here at Mecum, Kansas City, and yes, I did buy a car. A cheap car, one of the cheapest cars I think they sold. Kind of a weird little car, but for me, it was a car that I always kind of wanted. Kind of a quick story. Back when I started with Chrysler in the late 90s in warranty administration, the program that I was in, the Field Warranty Specialist Group, actually was a full-time traveling job. We traveled every week. So that meant that group basically consisted of younger guys like me, fresh out of school, and retirees who had the time and the flexibility to go out and travel. So a lot of the guys with Chrysler that trained me had retired from Chrysler in the mid-90s and come back and were doing this as kind of a part-time deal. A lot of those guys had kind of an interesting little car that they all talked about. It was kind of a big deal with that group of guys. I heard a lot about them. They talked about the cars they had at home. And one car that several of them had that they had bought in some of their years at Chrysler was the Maserati TC convertible. In 1989, 1990, and 1991, Chrysler actually shipped Lebarons over to Italy and had them converted to a Maserati TC. Now, the purpose of this car was to compete with the Buick Riata, the Cadillac Elante, that type of car, kind of an upscale little roadster type car. Because of that connection with the guys that I worked with at Chrysler, hearing those stories, remembering those times, because I really enjoyed it. I love going out and working with the service departments, got to see the country, learned a ton from these guys. Always in the back of my head, I always kind of thought, yeah, it'd be kind of fun to have a little TC convertible. I've looked at a few over the years. I've seen some at Mecum auctions over the years. Well, this year in 2024 in Kansas City, they actually had two of them here. Condition was pretty comparable on them. So this car actually sold on Thursday. It was the first one. The other one didn't sell till Friday. And I ended up buying this car on Thursday. It's a white 1990 Chrysler Maserati TC. And yes, basically it is a fancy LeBaron. That's about what it consists of. So I bought it. We paid for it. Now I got to figure out how to get it home. So, but we are here at Mecum Auction. We're going to get this thing home somehow. I'm not really sure how yet. I haven't figured that part out, but we'll get it home. Once we get it home, we will take a good look at it. So let's go enjoy some more of the auction. Obviously, there's a ton of cool stuff here to see. It is the last day of the auction, so things are getting ready to wrap up a little later today. As always, it's always a great time here at Mecum. We did some live stuff here, had a lot of fun with that. We've got some clips that we'll be putting together for you on a video on that too. And then once we get this little TC home, we'll get spend a few minutes with it, do a full walk around on it, check it out. So let's figure out a plan to get this thing home. Well, it's Sunday morning. We're back here to get the little Chrysler Maserati TC. Thought I may have had a trailer home for it, but he didn't have room, so I guess we're gonna try to drive it. I got Tractor Mike following me, so that's a good thing. You can see behind us still a ton of cars here to be picked up. They're down there tearing the stage apart. They got a lot of cars that need to get out of here by tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, so they got a lot of work to do. We're gonna get this one out of here. We're gonna hit the road, and definitely keeping our fingers crossed. We checked all the fluids and everything, and hope we can make her home. Never done this before, never bought something like this, and then just took off heading back to Great Bend with it. So we'll see how the little Chrysler Maserati does. Like I said, I'm kind of excited about it. We're gonna hit the road. We got Tractor Mike's signs loaded in the pickup right now, ready to pull out, go put some fuel in this thing, and hit the highway. So wish us luck, keeping our fingers crossed. Let's see how things go. Well, we're rolling down the highway. We've gotten out here towards the west side of Kansas City. And I guess so far so good. We'll keep our fingers crossed. We're at least moving down the road. And nothing's come apart yet. There's the Kansas Speedway right over there. And we were going to continue on down our journey, I guess. We'll keep our fingers crossed that things keep on ticking. And hopefully here in about 4 hours we'll be home. So got a heck of a crosswind today, it feels like. And it's weird, a 35-year-old car you don't think is that much different than a newer vehicle, but they are definitely different. There is no doubt about that. They definitely drive different than a new vehicle does. But we'll see how things go. We're gonna keep on rolling down the highway and see how the journey goes. Well, we made it 100 miles, just past the 100-mile mark on our trip home from Kansas City in the little TC. So far so good. The only major problem that's kind of an inconvenience more than anything is the cruise doesn't work. So I'm having to foot feed the thing the whole time. I've got Tractor Mike right back there behind me in Dad's pickup. So right there in case we've got a problem. Hopefully we won't. So far so good. I've been running, speed limit on interstates about 70 to 75, and when I'm set right on 75, Tractor Mike said I'm running about 77, 78, so I'm just trying to keep it right on that 75, 76 number. That way I at least pretty much keep up with traffic. You know, I don't want to be impeding traffic or causing problems, but on the other hand, I don't want to push the car super hard and try to run, you know, 80 or better at, and try to keep up with most of the traffic, you know, not really knowing a lot about the car. So far so good. We're going to keep on boogieing, and hopefully everything keeps trucking down the road just like it should. So just over 100 miles in, a little ways to go yet. I don't know exactly how many miles it is, 300 home, we'll see, but making good progress. Let's keep on trucking. We made it to Abilene, Kansas. Got Tractor Mike here.
This piece of shit he bought, it's made it. I can't believe it.
We ain't made it yet. We still got a little ways to go. We are in Abilene. We got to get back to Great Bend. But so far, she's rolling down the road for a car that I hadn't even seen before in my life 2 days ago.
He's been running over 80.
I ain't been running over 80. I wasn't running over 80. I videoed the speedometer right at 75, right at the speed limit.
It's off, so he's making it. If the son bitch makes it home, I can't believe it.
So, got fuel topped off. We're gonna run here, grab some chow, get this old little Maserati TC back on the road, see if we can get her home to Great Bend. Well, we're back on the road, topped off fuel, grabbed some chow there in Abilene, coming up on Salina, Kansas right now. Got Tractor Mike right there running support, right behind me, just in case we have any issues. And like I said, keeping our fingers crossed, so far so good, and making good progress. So let's see how things go. We'll keep our fingers crossed that everything keeps ticking along. So. Well, we made it back to the shop. Tractor Mike right here. Follow me all the way.
You barely made it.
I'll be honest with you. I was starting to wonder. This side of Salina, I picked up a heck of a vibration. I'm sure these tires are old. No idea how long they've been on there. They're not weather checked. They've got great tread.
You're not supposed to be going over 85 mile an hour all the way home.
I wasn't going over 85 mile an hour. But, so about this last 50 or 60 miles, I was pretty nervous. I was like watching the odometer as the miles ticked off.
Does the word puckered up mean something?
That's actually a much more accurate description. I'm trying to keep this show family friendly.
That's family.
That don't have Tractor Mike involved, right?
Yes.
So, but anyway, we're going to get her put away for now. We'll get her back out here shortly. We'll do a full walk around and check it out. Huge shout out to Tractor Mike. Hanging out this weekend, staying right behind me all the way back just in case something did go haywire, but we made her back. So, stay tuned. We'll get her back out soon. We'll get a full walk around. We'll get her stitched right on the end of this. But for now, we got to get her put away. Tractor Mike's still got a ways to go to get home. We got to get him back on the road. But we are here. We are in one piece. We made her back to the shop.
Had a freaking blast.
As always. Well, we made her back. Got the car in the shop. Let's take a little bit better look at her. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you know, we do this because of memories, what it ties us back to. And like I said, those guys at Chrysler that trained me, you know, young, dumb kid out of college and spent time with me, and a lot of them had these cars. That's what my tie was, and that's why we do this. That's why we have cars. It's the memories, it's the people, and all that stuff that help ties together. So even though this is kind of a weird little car, I thought they were pretty neat and it meant something to me. Now, you may say, well, I haven't seen one of those or I don't know much about them. Well, there's a reason for that. They did not make a ton of these. They only made a little over 7,000 of them. They made them for 3 years, 89, 90, and 91. And technically, they didn't really make any 91s. All the cars sold in 91 were made in 90 and then just sold as 91s. So there's not a ton of them out there anyway. The 89s were powered by a turbo 4-cylinder Chrysler, and they also had an optional 16-valve head that a few hundred cars got in 89. In 90 and 91, which since they were all essentially the same car, they were powered by a Mitsubishi-based 3-liter V6. This car being a 90, that's what this has in it. Now, why did these cars never take off? Well, like I mentioned earlier, they were meant to compete with the Riata, the Alante, things like that. Now, the Alante in that time frame was about a $50,000 car. Now, remember, we're talking 88, 89, 90. So very, very expensive car. These cars were designed to come in at a price point under the Alante. In 89, they were $35,500, but by 90, 91, they were up to $37,000. Now, in today's world with $100,000 pickups, that doesn't sound too far out of whack, but you got to remember, we're talking 35 years ago. So that was a ton of money. And to put that into perspective, in late 1987, when the GNX was released, you know, probably one of the most well-known, most popular, most desirable performance cars of the late 80s, the GNX was $35,000. So that kind of gives you the idea of the price point that these cars were in. And to further compare that, your basic LeBaron, what this is based off of, was about half that. So unless you really wanted a premium touring convertible, a lot of people just opted for the LeBaron. Underneath, they were very similar, pretty much the same car. So that's probably why a lot of you guys may not have ever seen or even heard of one of these, because there's just not a lot of them out there. However, they've also never garnered a very heavy collector following either because of that. But like I said, for me, I have personal ties to them. That's why I was in the back of my head kind of thought I'd want one. Plus, I've also got another LeBaron that I've got stashed that is a super rare car, a GTC VNT Coupe that was a Euro spec car. It's also a white 90, and we'll have a video coming on it soon. But they only made 123 VNT Coupes, and that car's got 154 actual miles on it. So it's kind of a unique car too. So I had a little bit of tie with that. And there again, we've got to put things into perspective, the time frame we're talking about, 89, 90, 91. You know, the performance was starting to come back. You know, we had Tuneport and Corvette, Camaro and Firebird, but performance really hadn't started to come back yet. So anything that was kind of sporty, kind of cool, you know, I kind of remember those because they kind of stood out for the time. And that's kind of what we've got here with this little TC Maserati. Now this car, nowhere near perfect. You know, it's been used, it's been driven, it's got some scuffs, it's got some scratches, things like that. So it is not a pristine show car, and I knew that when I bought it. But like I said, fortunately we did make it home. Like we mentioned earlier, and like Tractor Mike said, it was a puckered up ride that last hour or so. The vibration that I picked up did get pretty severe by the time I got back to town. About 10 blocks from the shop, I was hoping to even hoping I was going to hit the light screen trying to get back to the shop. But one of the lights, about 10 blocks from the shop, I did hit red, so I had to stop. And when I tried to take back off, felt like I was on a clown car. It was shaking so bad. So I'm pretty sure I've got a belt going on a tire. But we did make it back. Now, after I got back, I've moved it in and out of the shop a couple of times, just moving things around to get the truck out. And since I've got back, it's also developed a fairly significant power steering leak. So we made it back, but we made it back barely. 250 plus miles. I got 26 miles a gallon on the plus side. But we barely made it back. But like I said, it was a car that I hadn't even seen until the day I bought it. I hadn't even seen the car literally until an hour and a half before I owned it. So, but fortunately, we made it back. We had Tractor Mike following us. And it's here, it's in one piece. We can address these little issues and hopefully make a nice little drive out of this car. So, like I said, it's not a perfect car. It's got some dings, some dents, some scuffs, some scratches. But it appears to be a pretty much original car. Doesn't appear like it's had a lot of work done. I've seen a few spots on the body that have had a little bit of work. But overall, there again, it's a 35-year-old used car, essentially. Most of these cars didn't get driven regularly, which I think is probably why we had the tire issue. These are still stickers from Mecum. Haven't even cleaned any of this stuff off yet. I did have to take the big one out so I could see, but that's what that stuff still is. As we walk around the car, we do see these porthole tops, the separation in the glass on these. This is pretty common on these when you look at these cars on the internet or some of the Facebook pages. That's a very common issue for these little TC convertibles. When you come around the back of these, this is what really can confuse people. The back of these say Chrysler's TC. You got the Maserati badge, and then it says by Maserati. And yes, at that point in time, Chrysler and Maserati were in bed together too with cars and development and design. So that's how this actually came together. We come over here on the other side. This porthole top window not near as bad as the other. You know, it's got all the trim, but it's got a few dings and scratches, and you expect that in a 35-year-old car. So we can take a peek in this side while we're over here and get a look in the passenger side. You see there were 4-shift console, got a little Maserati badge right up near the shifter. For the time, they had a pretty fancy Chrysler radio in it. They had center controls on the console. They had pretty elaborate door panels and armrests. Kind of ergonomically friendly that flowed up into there. You can see where it had side defrost that went into the door panel up for the side windows. And we can even see it came with Maserati keychains. In the glove box, always looking for history and information. It does still have the jacket, but not much information left in it other than the fact that it did come from a dealership in Florida originally. These cars actually were not sold at every Chrysler dealer. You had to be certified to sell them, so not every Chrysler dealership carried these little Maserati TCs either in that window. Got the rest of my Mecum stuff all still laying in here, the catalog. And that's one other kind of cool thing I always like to do. Sometimes if you buy a car at Mecum, you flip through the catalog, and it's kind of fun if you buy a car that's in it to keep the catalog. We'll see, what car was this? 59. So we go to T59, and there's the little picture of the car in the catalog. We can look back here behind. Now these were a two-seater car. so there is no back seat. We'll look at this here in a minute. We do have a storage compartment back here. We do have some little side pockets on both sides. These do have an actual parade type boot. It is a hard boot. And you've got a storage area back here. And one other little interesting thing that is still here, it's empty, but it's still here, was these did have an owner's kit with them that had some car care type stuff in it. We've got the jacket, but it's empty inside. So that is actually still in its place where it should be. Just don't have any of the goodies left in it. Now, this being a two-seater, we'll open the trunk and we'll see that this actually has quite a bit of trunk space. The spare tire was meant to go back where we were just at, where the jack was at. And these cars actually did have a full roomy trunk. Over here on the driver's side, we can take a look in over here as well. We see the dash and everything. And we can see this car does have 48,949 miles on it now that we're back home. A little over 250 miles home. Had Maserati embroidered floor mats. Obviously very plush seats. So they really were trying to make these an upscale type car. We look in the door jambs. These had not just a chrome step plate, but a full chrome panel all the way up the door jamb. A lot of little treatments like that to really kind of set these apart and try to make them like a more luxury type touring car. Even here on the door side, we have a chrome plate on the striker. We've got the Maserati tag. 10 of 89 is when this car was built. And let's pop the hood while we're here and take a peek under there. Now, one interesting thing that really kind of threw me when I first looked at this car, I popped the hood, and when you come up under here, of course, you're looking for the safety. Well, I find the safety, and it won't move. You actually have to push the safety in. You don't pull or slide, you push it in, then you can raise the hood. And under here, the basic 3-liter Chrysler V6. This was a Mitsubishi-based engine that was used in multiple Chryslers of this era. And like I said, these were a pretty tried and true engine. Didn't really have any trouble with it running down the road. On the way back, just like I said, I think we've got a tire issue and a power steering leak now that needs to be addressed. But that stuff can be handled. But like I said, it ran out great, drove good other than until I picked up the tire vibration. And I got 26 miles to the gallon heading home. I think I was running, the speedometer I think is a couple miles an hour off. So the speed limit was 75 on the interstate. I tried to keep it around 72, 76. Track to Mike says I'm running well past 80, but I don't think I was. But regardless, we made it home and in one piece. Now, obviously, this does have a removable hardtop, like we talked about the parade boot, so it's solid back there. So this entire unit comes off. Soft top is back under there. One other thing this car did come with, it does have a stand for the hardtop. And this was tagged also from Mecum to make sure you pick it up with the car number. So if you buy a car at Mecum and it comes with extra accessories, you always got to make sure you get those as well. So we got that picked up. Now, when you take the hardtop off this, and it does have latches underneath here, and you take it off, this is another little piece that was still with the car. It actually comes with a hardtop cover. Chrysler's TC by Maserati. This actually, you can wrap your hardtop in it so it doesn't get scuffed, and then you put it on the stand when you want to take it off and drive it as a roadster. So, anyway, there it is. Not sure that I would do that again. Made for a good adventure. We made it back. We had a ton of fun. It was a great weekend, and but not 100% sure that I would want to do that again. You know, buy a car that I hadn't seen until an hour before I owned it, and then obviously you can't do much with them. I mean, it's in the facility, and if you take it out of the facility, you got to find a place to store it. So obviously I didn't want to take it back to the hotel and let it sit there all weekend. So, you know, obviously we checked the fluids, looked it over, gave it a good visual, because that's about all you can do while we're there. And grabbed a couple paper towels out of the bathroom, checked the fluids on it. And we started the key, topped off the gas, and headed down the highway with it. So it was one of those deals where great adventure. You know, now that we're home in one piece, I can say we're glad we did it. That last 60 miles home, as I'm watching that odometer tick those miles down, I mean, every time I saw a green sign on the highway that said Great Bend, X miles, I was calculating that against my odometer, and I was watching those things tick off, because with that vibration I had, obviously that tire could come apart on you. You don't know. So now that it's home, it's easy to say it was a great adventure, but not 100% sure that I would do it again without knowing something about the car. Or, you know, sometimes you run into the owner when you buy a car there after the fact, something like that. Then, yeah, then maybe I would consider doing it if I knew a little bit more about it. But I knew absolutely nothing about this car before we jumped in and took off. Tractor Mike and I did buy a tow rope the night before, just in case we needed to get it off the highway quick. Fortunately, the tow rope is still wrapped up and we didn't need it. But great adventure, ton of fun. And like I said, kind of a weird little car, but for me, something I had to tie to and thought was pretty cool. And these cars aren't that expensive. That's another thing that, you know, just because you're going to a collector car auction, you don't have to go in with a six-figure checkbook. There's a lot of cool cars there that sell pretty reasonably, and this car was definitely one of them. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind if you go to Mecum, that they do have a minimum on purchases. They say it's 10%, but they have a minimum of $1,000. If you go to Mecum and buy a $1,000 car, they're charging you $1,000 to buy it, plus a $150 dock fee. So something else to keep in mind, that if you do go to Mecum and you're looking at a car that's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, you still have a $1,000 buy fee on it. So, and that was the situation with this car. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed the trip. And it was fun. It was exciting, but not 100% sure that I would want to do it again. So anyway, I hope you learned something about these little cars. I thought they were cool. You like old cars, you like old trucks, you like memorabilia. Be sure to check out the channel, Nobody's Show. We do a lot of cool old stuff on here. And check out some of the other videos and definitely click that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of that. So a lot of fun with this stuff. Hope you enjoyed the entire adventure of the 1990 Chrysler TC by Maserati that we have now added to our collection. Picked up at Kansas City Mecum 2024. And it was an adventure, and I hope you guys enjoyed going along for the ride. Thanks for watching, everybody. We hope to see you soon on the next video.